All right, welcome back to another Watch and Score live stream, fight fans. We are live. It's good to have people on board. It's good to have Alex and Josh along with me as usual on the call. We've got a pretty exciting fight coming up for us to watch and score. Classic from the 90s, especially for British fight fans, but it's equally as interesting for worldwide boxing fans, I guess. Good to have you both on board. How's the last couple of weeks been for you, Alex?
Hey man, good to be here. Not too bad. As some may have heard, there was a hurricane in South Florida area. Thankfully, it was on the other coast, but everything's good. Right back to normal life. So I'm glad for that. Absolutely.
Good stuff. And how you doing, Josh? You all right, my friend?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. Appreciate being here. Yeah, it's been cool over the last couple of weeks. Just ready for some more of this boxing action to kick off, which I think we have a pretty good slate coming up to close out the year.
Yeah, cool, man. We'll also have quite a lot of fights to cover in the coming months. I think Alex is on that, hopefully, because we need a schedule, man. I'm sure we'll discuss that at some point. But this week, we've got a really exciting fight of Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn. Obviously, it is their son's fight coming up next weekend, and we'll discuss that at the end of the live stream. So let's first of all jump into some more recent events from the last couple of weeks since our last stream. There was I don't think there was anything pretty much last weekend. It was a bit of a barren weekend, but the week before, Friday the 23rd of September, Shakur Stevenson beat Robson Conceicao. Alex, give us your verdict on that one. What do you think of the performance?
So, as some may remember, I spoke extremely high of Shakur. This performance here, I don't think would have really maybe made you believe it more, but I don't think it should have made you believe it any less either. He basically walked down the former gold medalist Robson Conceicao, who a lot of people believed should have got a decision against Oscar Valdez, who Shakur also dispatched of. This was a one-sided fight from the beginning. I felt like there was a lot of questionable placement of some shots from Shakur, a lot that were near the belt line and below. Some people have counted up to 68. Now, Shakur landed 199 punches. So, yeah, he definitely had a focused attack on the body. I thought his defense was beautiful. I've heard a lot of different things. He was catching shots in the shoulder roll, catch and then shoot, catch it to the body, which is very difficult to have that timing down. I think once again it was a display of Shakur's mastercraft. It was a little bit working off of the Oscar Valdez, and the Herring performances with this walk you down, come forward approach. I hope he doesn't keep at this. I think he has now shown everything and has solidified himself. He's always been a master defensive fighter. Now he's showing he can step forward and try to knock you out. He didn't get the stoppage. A lot of credit to Robson. He's very tough. He was always giving you at least 5-10 seconds to show he's alive. Shakur did miss weight, 1.6 pounds. Says he is moving to 135, which we have a lot of big fighters there. We got Gervonta Davis. We have Devin Haney. Maybe Ryan Garcia if he goes back down. There is the rumor of him fighting Gervonta in December. And you have other guys. You have Jojo Diaz, who he's fighting William Cepeda. 135's, got Kambosos. So a lot of things going on at 135. So look forward to all the possible matchups. Don't forget Lomachenko too.
Cool. Josh, did you have anything to add to that about Shakur?
I think that Vega broke it down well. Not much to add. Other than I just thought Shakur, he was definitely coming forward. He was being a more offensive fighter, which is what he's been criticized for not being as offensive in the past. But I thought in this fight he brought it to Conceicao and he got the victory. I thought it was dominant as well. So yeah, Vega summed it up.
Yeah, cool. All right, I don't think we need to touch on the undercard of that one because I don't think we really discussed it anyway last time out. We can move on to the following day. It was Joyce versus Josie Parker over in Manchester. Josh, let's start off with you. You caught the fight. Give us your thoughts. I just want to say before we get started on that you two both were wrong, and I was right. I called this fight. Anyway, give us your thoughts on the fight, Josh.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, you were spot on. As mentioned, Vega and we came into the fight thinking Joyce was going to get the victory, and for the most part, he was doing well. He was landing some huge shots on Joyce, and one of the things that stood out to me, which I guess is generally apparent for many, is that Joyce, his ability to take punishment, take clean and heavy shots, it's real because it just seems like nothing that Joyce threw, even his hardest stuff that you know he had something on or had some power on, none of that seemed to put a dent or stop any form of Joyce moving forward. And with such, I think that allowed for Joyce to just really corner Parker, force him on the back foot, and he just beat him essentially. I mean, he just beat him in the latter part of the fight, and Joyce or Parker rather, he was moving. He was trying his best to actually, stay on the outside, and he was landing some good jabs. And I thought that he looked good at several times in several rounds of the fight, but ultimately, I think it was just that perseverance and that chin of Joyce that held him through, and he's got a pretty solid, strong jab that seems to hurt people. So he ended up getting the victory with, I believe it was a left hook that took Parker out, took him down and out. And I think that was just set up because of his relentlessness and him moving forward and his ability to just constantly stay on that jab. And it just broke Parker down essentially. But it was a great fight, an excellent matchup, and hopefully we get more matchups like that in the heavyweight division because I think that we have a good crop of talent. If we could get them all actually fighting each other more consistently, it would be good for the heavyweight division and boxing as a whole.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think that the heavyweight division's been stacked with talent as such. Really, you got the top couple of guys that are obviously very talented, but then I think below that there's a lot of competitiveness that makes the division pretty interesting, and it has been for a while. Alex, I know you said it was a great fight before we came onto the stream, and you're disgusted that I didn't see it. Give us your assessment and verdict on both Joyce and Parker going forward.
Yeah, Josh did sum it up really well. Shout out to Kaiser Koba in the chat. I think I want to go off a little bit what he's saying. Parker came in the heaviest of his career. I was expecting a lot of movement from Parker, and I think that weight definitely it went against him a little bit. I think round two, I saw him moving, and then he just started sitting there in the corners. And I think it was pretty obvious he was not going to be able to use his feet to create the space to control the distance as he needed to, because as Josh said, that jab from Joyce, his punch resistance, which is maybe the craziest thing I've seen in many years. I mean, it's Gennady Golovkin, Canelo like, maybe exceed that, because these are 250 pound men punching you, and he ate them all like it was nothing. I've never seen that before. But yeah, Joseph Parker landed everything he could, and it didn't matter. Joyce, like he said, the left hook crumbled him. Joyce, I have to say, pending with Wilder's comeback October 15th, I have to say he's the third best heavyweight, after Fury and Usyk.
Okay, that's quite interesting. I was actually noticing before I came on that your scorecard was slightly different at the time of the stoppage for that. Josh had it level at 95 apiece. Alex, you had it in favour of Joyce, 97-93. So as I just touched on, I've not seen the fight. I was out last weekend, and I've not managed to catch the full fight replay this week, unfortunately. So Was it
You
fairly
hit on
close
that.
then? I will have a watch of it. But was it fairly close then up until the point? I mean, it looks like it. I mean, you had a lot of rounds where you differed on, or at least 2 rounds that were different. Alex, would you say it was fairly close, or was it?
What it was is that Joyce was coming forward the whole time. Like I said, sticking out that pole. And then Joseph Parker, man. I mean, he would find just a great time to counter, land something ridiculous. So it was like trying to interpret it. It's basically, it's like, listen, yeah, he landed a clean shot, but it did nothing to him. And then Joe Joyce is out here, hit him with the stick, coming with some, right hands and whatnot, but mostly, I mean, and then going to the body as well. So there was a lot of rounds where I could see maybe you can give to Parker, but that's why I just thought Joe Joyce had the more effective shots, while Parker was landing the cleaner ones. So
Okay.
very interesting.
Yeah, I would agree on that for sure. I feel like that was the case, and literally, I think if Parker had a kitchen sink in there with him that he was swinging, it wasn't going to do anything to Joyce. He was just so determined. So I do think it makes it interesting for all of the other top heavyweights out there and the potential of them facing Joyce. I know he wants either Fury or Usyk, but there are some other good matchups that are out there as well. So we'll see what he gets. I wouldn't mind him taking on Daniel Dubois again, who I think he would probably beat again. And I had high regards for Dubois, but I think that the fact that he had faced Joyce, lost, and now he was able to get a WBA title. I think that that is a little bit soon and sort of misleading as far as where he is right now. So I think that Joyce would defeat him again, and that's, I think, a real potential matchup for Joyce Dubois too. So, but we'll see.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one. I'm not sure that Dubois would be in a rush to to go for that one. To be fair, and I don't think too many people would be rushing in to face Joyce either. But yeah, I mean, the division is kind of really opening up a little bit. I guess underneath the very top, the top end of it, which I'm not interested in at the moment because Joshua and Fury, we're not talking about that, and they're on off kind of thing. Usyk and Fury need to face off as far as I'm concerned, and then we'll go from there. Okay, let's move along on the undercard to that. Then I think, did you say that you saw the Magnesi Kakachi fight, Alex?
I said I missed it.
Missed
I
that one,
saw
sorry.
the Usman Antwi, which was a wash for Usman, but Antwi was very competitive. And not really much to say about that. And I saw Serrano Mafood, which was Serrano. It kind of seems like it's what is it? What's a good way to say it? It's just he does the same thing over and over again. She goes in there, she throws punches, she does a little bob. She gets out of range, she'll bob in, bam, 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 and just do it all over again. So like a rinse, wash, rinse, repeat kind of
Repeat,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Anything
yeah.
to go on, Josh? Go ahead.
I caught Usman versus Antwi, and yeah, I think that Usman looked pretty good in the fight. Antwi had moments, but once Usman was able to, get him inside or really stop him from his movement and awkwardness, he was able to do more damage. I felt, and Antwi didn't throw enough punches overall. I felt in a lot of those rounds, so it was definitely, I thought, a pretty clear win for Usman. I ended up scoring it. I forget what I had it, but it was very clear, in my opinion.
Competitive but clear, I would say,
Yeah,
right?
competitive. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Let's move things along then. Also on that weekend was Max Hughes and Kid Galahad. We didn't see that, any of us, but Max Hughes got that decision. It was a majority decision, so one judge had it a draw. One had it quite handily to Hughes, 116, 111, and then the other one was 114, 113. So it might have been quite a close fight. We can just gloss over that card because we didn't really catch it. So that is fine. I think that makes us all caught up since our last live stream on recent events. We will go over the upcoming fights after the scoring section, which we're going to move on to now. Just a quick shout out to those that are in the chat. It's good to see you, Kaiser Cobra, as usual. Thanks for coming along. Also, Majid is a new name in there. Salute to you, sir. Good to have you here. What's Kaiser just said there? Can you trust anyone who watches Kid Galahad over Joyce versus Parker?
No, you can't.
Okay, that's a fair point. So, yeah, very good point. All right, let's move things along. We will move on to our watch and score fight. It is, I think it's a classic. I know it is a massive, huge rivalry in the UK, and every time that we get two fairly competitive middleweight to light heavyweight-ish boxers from the UK, and they're about to face off, everyone always goes, "Oh, this is the biggest fight since Eubank Benn." And it happens time and again, and it's never been as big, in all honesty. So I think, Alex, you will hopefully have some introductions for us. I'll get us all set up on the video. If people who want to score along with us, they can access the scorecard for this fight in the video description. And I think someone will be able to post it in the chat as well for us. If one of you two can do that, that would be magic. Also, if you are not registered, you need to register to be able to join our scoring group. When you are registered, you'll have access to a group section from the menu on the left-hand side if you're on desktop, or from the menu on mobile. If you go into the groups, you can join a group using the code which is on the screen. It's FSYT22, and that puts you into our scoring group for these live streams. You'll be able to see our scorecards and all the other scorecards that anyone from the group actually creates outside of these live streams. So, pretty cool. And you can also create your own groups if you wanted to do so. So, with that introduction done, Alex, take it away, and I'll get us set up on our end.
Go time. So, yeah, we got Chris Eubank versus Nigel Benn 2, the rematch. We'll go first with the underdog in this fight. Nigel Benn, 29 years old, from East London, UK, 5'9.5", standing at 5'9.5", 73-inch reach. Coming into this fight, 37-2 with 32 KOs. He is the former WBO middleweight champion, the current WBC super middleweight champ, making his fourth defense. 6-1, 5 KOs in world title fights, 5-1, 3 KOs against former and current champions. He's 10-0 with 7 KOs since the Eubank loss in the first fight. Let's move on to Chris Eubank Sr., 27 years old, born in South London, but fighting out of his adopted home, Brighton, Sussex, UK. Standing at 5'10", 73-inch reach as well, 35-0 with 1 draw, 18 KOs. He's the former WBO middleweight champion, which he won from 9th round TKO over Nigel Benn. Current WBO super middleweight champion, making his 8th title defense. 12-0, 4 KOs in world title fights, and 3-0, 1 KO, Benn being the 1 KO, against former and current champions. 10-0-1, 3 KOs since defeating Benn, with his last fight being a draw against Ray Close.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We're all tuned into What's What then. This was back in 1993, 29 years ago. The anniversary is the night before next weekend's fight, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's quite coincidental, I guess. Maybe not. Cool. I think that I forwarded this on straight into the action. No introductions. I believe it was like a bit of a raucous crowd up at Old Trafford. It was a bit of a feisty one. So let's get to it. I've not really got my scorecard prepared, but that's usual. Hopefully everyone else has by now. And let's enjoy the fight, and we will get going. Can you boys see it, by the way, in our chat?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. Right, let's go. They're both posing.
Yes, Chris Eubank is notorious for his posing in between rounds and such.
I think Nigel Benn's just taking a piss a little bit there, isn't he? Good lad.
for the first time now. Well, I don't know whether it helped him to slip punches a little bit.
So yes, this fight is in Old Trafford, Manchester, home of the Manchester United Red Devils, who unfortunately lost.
We
to
don't
their
talk.
rivals
We
this
don't
year.
talk about that.
Manchester City 6-3.
We don't talk
It was
about that.
terrible, man. I stopped watching after 2-0.
Yeah, I stopped at 3. So
See,
there's
these
no.
guys are coming right at each other.
Yeah, there's no messing around. They hate each other, and they just want to scrap. Hey, welcome aboard, Buzz. You're only this is the first round, so you're not too late. We'll tell you how all this ends. Although he never believes us. And someone block Kaiser from the chat.
You know, in the first fight, Eubank, I mean, his stance to me is quite unique, but he was very light on his toes. Nigel Benn was coming forward a lot, and you see it's not really like that in this rematch, which is about, I believe, 3 years later from the original matchup. A lot of holding. Yeah, Nigel Benn is known as the, come forward, knock you out. I mean, this guy has dynamite, while Eubank is known as more of the slick boxer.
Yeah, I was watching the first fight yesterday. They were showing it on the Zone channel actually, and yeah, it was just the slickness of Eubank that was allowing him to get in a lot of nice clean shots on Ben. But when Ben was hurt at any point, or when he did have exchanges, he did have success. So we'll see if that's going to be the case with this one as it goes on.
He loves what he calls a tear up, doesn't he? The old soldier. 4 years, 256 days in the Royal Fusiliers, counted every one of them.
But at least he's not wasting punches in the first round. One of Ben's problems, he runs out of steam because he wastes punches in the first few rounds, puts too much power into punches that are missing.
So this is a pretty lively opener.
It's quite an ugly first round, honestly.
There's been some good shots landed in this opening round as we come up to the close there. Slightly low, not too much of a moan there from Eubank.
There it goes. See the pose?
Yep, classic.
It's a reported. I've seen two different figures. They said 42,000 to 47,000 in attendance. A couple notable names: Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno, Don King, and Michael Nunn. Michael Nunn actually was known as one of the better fighters in the world, WBA super middleweight champion at the time, and he was looking to fight the winner of this fight.
There's the corner. And Maximo Perez is actually the New York cab driver. There he is from the Dominican Republic who first trained Eubank, and he had 5
Not sitting down in the corner, just
this
standing around.
type of matchup is always interesting. You have to come for a guy against a guy who just split movement on defense and such, because the question that comes to mind is, will they be able to sustain the movement that is taking place? Like, will the defensive guy or guy with a little bit more solid defense be able to hold off and come forward aggressive? So it's that matchup. That's
You were just breaking up a little bit there, Josh. I'm not sure if that's my internet or connection issues on your end.
I'm not sure.
Came in fine to me.
Okay, it might just be my end. Don't worry about it. Let's make that video a bit bigger. Right, I need to add to my score.
Ben always has trouble against awkward, cagey opponents, and Eubank is certainly that.
Interesting fact, Nigel Benn had actually had his first loss at the domestic level against Michael Watson, I believe. He was stopped. Eubank's actually, his last fight at middleweight was against Michael Watson. Had a majority decision. They rematched for the WBO super middleweight champion next fight, actually. And Eubank was taking a beating. He was down. He was down on the cards, losing most of the rounds. Got dropped round 10. made a comeback and stopped Michael Watson in the 12th round. Michael Watson collapsed in the corner, and I'm not sure exactly what happened afterwards, but Eubank kind of took a different approach in trying to punish people. Wasn't really trying to knock you out after that, they say, because of the
Check.
brutality of what happened against Watson.
Yeah.
Dreary draw that he got the Irishman Ray Close in Scotland last time up.
Ooh, that's a nice shot.
Eubank, man, just kind of like in the first fight, just a little too quick. His punches are a little bit sharper. But Nigel's a big puncher, man. You always got to be worried with him.
It's just like you said before. It's a case of Ben's coming forward, kind of hell bent on landing a big one. He's had a bit of success there.
That was a nice left hook.
And Eubank's kind of more boxing, isn't he? He's evasive and trying to be more slick.
Yeah.
For these guys being pre-30, they definitely have a lot of miles. Sorry, Josh.
Oh no, you good. I was just gonna add that yeah, it is a interesting matchup as I mentioned. And so stylistically at least, and that makes you wonder what the judges are gonna favor. If they're gonna favor that come forward aggression from Benn, or if they're gonna be really looking and seeing the jabs and other slick punches that Eubank is able to land. So makes it interesting.
See, Eubank's never comfortable leading off attacks. He likes to pull a man forward onto him and hit him with counters.
All right.
That's quite a tough one. Oh, hang on. We've got one of those cut straight to the next round video, so I'll just do a pause there.
Yeah, man.
Okay, let's have a look at some of the comments in the chat. Boz is saying Eubank always looked more like a light heavyweight physically. Ben looking good so far, getting low and switching the attack, says Kaiser. I did mention some rabbit punching, which maybe when there was in a clinch.
A lot of clinching.
Kaiser says that Eubank tries to steal it in the last minute in that round. I thought that Eubank's work was quite cleaner, so I'm going to go with that one. So let's get them scores in. I'll give you another 5
I definitely
seconds.
felt round 2 was closer than round 1, but I actually gave him. I like what Ben's doing a little bit more. Just feel like he's the one kind of dictating how the fight is moving along. But I do agree with you said. The Eubank's punching is a lot clearer.
Yeah.
I feel, but Nigel's just doing too much.
See that there? Just nice jab.
Yeah, interesting. Eubank actually was known as like a villain over there, probably worldwide, but definitely in the UK. Definitely had a reputation of not being liked. He was, flashy guy. Was not well liked by many people.
Yeah, it was the cocky posing antics. That kind of shit doesn't go down well with British people. We're not like you Americans.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. Both fighters are of Caribbean descent. Ben's parents are from Barbados. And Eubank, though he was born in South London, he moved to Jamaica for the first 6 years of his life. And when he was moved back to the UK, moved around north, south, London. Then when he was 16, nice right hand by. I'm actually a little behind. But anyways, I'm sorry. Moved to South Bronx with his mother. Actually became #1 junior middleweight in America for a short period of time. And had his first 5 fights in America before going back to England.
Have that cauldron heat, of course, an indoor arena, Jim. I wonder you fought in the open air. Does it make that much difference?
Yeah, it does actually, especially in October. I mean, it's not so bad in the summer months. A little pleasant breeze But in the month of October, it can fairly cold up there in between rounds.
Here we are. We're holding again.
Oh, there's a low
Ooh,
punch.
was that a bit low?
Quite rightly. I don't know whether he's going to take a point away. It hasn't signified that, Larry O'Connell. No. Well, not too many of them that could interfere with the
Ooh.
family allowance.
I like what Ben's doing. He's trying to counter to the body, which was not there for that first fight. He was actually coming straight in and getting hit cleanly by Eubank. So that's a nice adjustment for this rematch.
Yeah, I observed similar. He seems to have found a way to not take as many clean punches through the first couple of rounds here, and that should bode well for him.
It was a nice right over the top there by Ben.
I'm liking Ben's work more. Oh, that was back of the head.
Some more rabbit punches there. Boz says that he didn't like Eubank much for a long time. He usually cheered against him. I think that's what he played up to really back then.
You know what? Sometimes you can't select your niche. You have to just play into what comes, and looks like he did that well.
The stands here at the back of this Old Trafford ground, it's cheering everything. And we're on
Round.
to round 4.
Oh shit. Let me pause. Calm down, boys.
Yeah, I'm liking Nigel Benn's work thus far, at least over the last 2 rounds. I think that he's been able to really press Eubank, and he hasn't thrown as many punches as he did in the first few rounds of the previous fight. So it'll be interesting to see if he picks it up.
And I mentioned about Eubank and his U.S. tour. Ben, after his loss to Michael Watson, actually had 5 fights in America. So he rebuilt here in the U.S., winning his title, knocking out Iran Bakali, returning to the UK when he faced Eubank for the first fight.
Cool. Kaiser's saying that Eubank's not throwing enough punches, and Ben has the nice slips and counters.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you, Boz. Absolutely. Simple as that.
That was Kaiser, sorry, not Boz.
Oh, Kaiser. Well, yes, Kaiser.
All right, let's continue. The scores are in.
Impressions of the 12 stones.
Maybe we'll have a look at the average scorecard after this round. Get that analysis going.
And, well, as you've lived in a cave the last few years, Eubank in the yellow trunks and Ben in white.
Also, if you haven't already done so, read the screen and hit the like and subscribe, please. Thank you.
I think he might take the point away there. Second warning, he says. No, he's been a bit lenient there, Larry O'Connell.
Maybe the fact that the both of it are warning is making Con a little bit more lenient, but another one and he'll take a point.
Oh, they've slowed down now.
2 American referees. Sorry, judges. Carol Castellano.
Yeah, I would say that Ben is being a bit more tactical about how he goes in this fight, which I think helps him as far as being able to keep Eubank there and
Eubank just seems so
punching.
patient.
Referee Larry O'Connell wouldn't score if it went the 12 rounds.
Oh, that was nice.
Oh, good right hand punch there, Jim. Right above us here. He's hurt Eubank.
I think he felt that one.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it was hurt, Reg. There wasn't a change in his eyes. He stumbled after the punch. It was a good shot, but he was actually waving Ben on.
Yeah, he's been a bit cheeky there, wasn't he?
Yeah, but a good right hand punch it was.
That would have knocked his monocle out, Jim, I'll tell you that.
See, this is where Ben must keep himself under control and get the punches flowing. You see, he's marching forward, but he's taking too long to get the punches off.
No question, it's the best we've seen Eubank. Do you agree?
Yeah, the sharpish. I thought he missed quite a bit in the previous round, but you can see his thinking and his movements are sharp. But Ben's getting through with the shot. It's the right hand lead again landing.
That was like millimeters away.
Ben just seems a little bit ragged to me, and as the pace slows down...
As we're watching this, do you see any similarities in their offspring?
Definitely can. You know, Eubanks Jr. Relies on his athleticism like his father. I see a lot of hands down. And then the Benns, man, they're powerful dudes.
Yeah, I think they're both pretty similar in there. That kind of come forward, winging in those hooks. I think Junior's a little bit different in that you can see here Eubank's proper got a boxing stance, his gloves are actually up. I think Eubank Junior doesn't. He's a bit more laid back, isn't he, and hands down quite a lot.
Yeah, I would agree. Of course, Connor Benn and Nigel Benn. But yeah, Connor Benn, he definitely, you can see that he has a style similar to his father. So, but I do think Eubank Jr. has kind of tried to reinvent himself at times. So it'll be interesting to see how he looks in this fight against Connor Benn coming forward and how the weight affects him, if any.
Yeah, see his legs, they're not stumbling, Reggie. He's looking back, and this is what he called Ben on. He was never really badly shaken by that punch, but nevertheless, it was a good shot. Yeah, see, back he goes. He was actually pulling away from the punch as it landed.
Probably wasn't really hurt. That was a good round for Nigel Benn, I think. Well, that's a good time to pause while Barry McGuigan's unofficial card's up. Alright, just quickly before we go into a comparison, let's have a look what people are saying. Boz says the same with Sugar Ray, hates the fancy guys, but eventually you got to give them credit. And he also says that Eubank would have a good chance against Tony and Jones, but only fought like he did against Ben in the first fight. That's quite a bold statement. Majid asks if Alex has been working out. You look strong. I think he's just got a baggage top on.
I have been working out. Yes, sir, Majid. Thank you.
And then Boz says that Ben's using the right strategy here instead of just punching away like he did in the first fight. He's moving and boxing more. And Kaiser agrees. Ben's taking his time, being smarter on the counter. Yeah. Go with that. And Boz also says that he loves Conor Benn as a fighter. And then Kaiser has said that boxing is so weird. Conor was struggling with lightweight journeyman in 2017, and now he's fighting Eubank Jr. at middleweight. It's a bit of a crazy sport, but he has improved since then. I would say he's definitely looked better, and it's definitely intriguing to see what happens next week.
I just realized I was not logged in on fight night.
Oh no!
Oh yeah!
Oh no!
I was just doing a guest one, but I'm putting it in right now as we speak.
We'll find that out when I go and do the comparison now. What are you saying there, Josh? You see the even round there. Oh, don't start with even rounds.
Yeah, we have one there for the third. Unofficial, of course.
Oh, is that Barry McGuigan's?
Yep.
Let's have a look. So it is. Ah, no. I don't mind, actually. Fair enough, Barry.
Well, I will say that I think that Ben has taken these last 3 rounds, in my opinion, because I think that he's found a way to kind of slow Eubank down, and his punch output, I feel, isn't as what it was in the first fight. And I think that's because Ben is doing a better job, I would say, cutting the ring off and a little bit less recklessly as it was in the first fight.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can see Alex has now finished up his scorecard. Now he's logged in. It looks like Alex and Kaiser have both scored every round for Ben, and then me and you, Josh, have got a round in there for Eubank. I'm getting my fighters mixed up there. But we went a different way around it. We scored the first 2 rounds differently. And then the next 3 rounds we both scored to Ben. So, yeah. All good so far. I think it's quite clear that Ben is winning the fight up to now. So let's continue. Barry McGuigan's got it just to Ben as well with that even round.
Buzz is funny. I got to look into this. Wow. Ben's coming out very aggressive. I had to look into this American versus UK fighter. At least they didn't mention Wilder versus Fury.
See, Eubank never sustains an attack, Reg. In all the fights I've seen him, I wonder if he'll try and sustain this one. Ben reckless again, Reg. I mean, this is
Just trying to control the situation here. Buzz is going for it. We're missing an
Oh,
absolute
boy.
scrap here. What's going on?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have a fight now. Seems Ben came out hot and Eubank
Eubank.
showed him, hey, I can do this too. I think
Yeah.
Eubank needed that after that last round. I felt Ben dominated that last round.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I was thinking certainly I want to see some of those exchanges they had in that first fight because when they're going at it, exciting stuff for sure.
I mean, he knows himself. He doesn't have the greatest chin in the world. He's been shaken badly a couple of times. He's been stopped a couple of times. You think he would keep it a bit more protected?
Interesting fact, Don King actually helped put this fight together. And within the contract, he had it to where he was going to sign the winner and the loser.
Yeah, I saw that earlier as well.
But this fight is promoted by Barry Hearn.
Okay. Yeah, people kind of forget that Matchroom had been around for a long time. It was in boxing in the 90s. They were mainly focused on snooker and darts over in the UK.
Yeah.
And then it was when Eddie took over for Matchroom where they really went into the huge outfit that they are now.
Yeah, certainly.
Really off the back of
a
Joshua.
powerhouse these days, for sure.
Yeah, I think it all built off Anthony Joshua pretty much.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I
Seems
remember.
that Eubank has found his distance. He looks extremely comfortable. And that's Eubank. This is top level Eubank right here. He's standing right there. When a punch is coming, he makes a move, either slip or he's countering. You see, he's in full control right now.
Yep.
Oh, that's a great
Working the
lap.
jab nicely.
Yeah, the jab I've noticed is finding that a lot.
Yeah. Nigel Benn is not a good fighter when he's not coming forward, and it's showing.
Yeah, when he was slowing down in the early rounds, and I was thinking that probably benefits Eubank, giving a bit more time to think about it.
A great round for Eubank.
Yeah, it's a good round.
Agreed. Yeah, I think when Eubank fights like this, yes, it's definitely his fight. So being able to sustain that bodes well for him.
He's given a lot of hard shots. He's taking some good shots too. I mean, the fight's pretty even right about now.
What about Eubank? He seems to be pacing himself well.
No doubt about it. That's what Chris is trying to do. He's trying to let Nigel come out and exert himself then, try to pick up the later rounds and try to get him out of there late.
From what you've seen so far, who do you fancy to win this?
Well, believe it or not, I don't know who's going to win the fight. Like I said, I'm going to leave it up to those two individuals. I just want to fight the winner.
Fair enough.
So there he is, getting a real seeing to there, isn't he?
They've asked him many times leading up to the fight, who do you think's going to win? He said, I don't know. Nor did he care. I'm sure he felt. I mean, Michael Nunn was, man, I believe at this time, he was seen as one of the best fighters in the world. So I think he fancied himself regardless.
So the replay, Jim, looks as though it's going to live up now to the first fight, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's catching fire now, Reg. I mean, there's been some untidy punching.
Yeah, here we go. See Eubank moving.
Yeah, pretty
That's a
round.
tough target for Ben.
Yeah.
He's just too fast.
But the excitement level has really lifted, and now it's started living up to what we
Yeah,
Oh, that was low.
he's definitely. He's definitely top level when he's moving like that. That swift but subtle foot placement. So that style of fighting, I think, is what can truly trouble Ben. If he keeps this up for the remainder of the fight.
Well, Eubank knows he's the stronger of the two.
No setup for that right hand by Nigel. Can't fight going backwards, so this fight definitely seems like the tightest turn.
Turning, isn't it? Yeah. Go with that. Kaiser
Yeah,
says,
and
Oh man. I mean, yes,
Oh
it
wow.
was. He hit him 2 times low in like 20, 30 seconds. So, but it just this is a high stake fight. They said half a billion people watch this worldwide.
Wow.
So I mean, what's the point in warning if you're not going to
It's
carry
crazy.
out your
It's
press?
impressive numbers.
But I do feel like that taking a point that quick. I mean, it was warned in there.
There was one when it was it round two where there was the exchange low blows, didn't they? Or maybe round three. And the commentary then was saying, "Oh, is there any point being taken off?" No.
Good right hand from Ben, but Eubank looking for some power on the right hand now. See, once the pace slows, Ben could find himself in trouble because his defence is very loose.
So there's a minute to go in the 6th round now. Oh, it's a good exchange, Joyce. He's certainly sharpened up his boxing a lot, Eubank. He's said it to press conferences this week. You're going to be surprised with my boxing.
Oh, he's out the ring.
Ooh.
Like you said, Alex, he doesn't do very well going backwards.
Yeah, and part of the problem is defense is more his head movement, so he's kind of at different angles, and he can get caught with a, a load of shots just in general when
Well, this is now
you
where
employ that type
Ben
of
should
defense.
fancy the job. When he has to go looking for opponents, he struggles a little bit. But Eubank's there all the time. So it's a type of fight that suits Ben.
Even though it's not really appealing, when Ben is that was a nice left hook. When he's nice right hand.
Yeah,
When he's
3,
holding,
4.
he's getting in good work, and those body shots they have to hurt. They have to be slowing
Good
Eubank
stuff
down
at the end.
sometime.
Pulled something out at the end there, Ben, but I'm not sure if it was enough to win him the round.
And remember, he was deducted a point.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, good, good point. It was low.
And this is the bit, Jim, where he pushes him through the ropes there. Well, as I said, right above us. Whoop, there he comes.
So hope we all got it. Those in the chat, what's your scores looking like? Let us know.
If there's a nip in the air, they drink it. That's a bit of an old-fashioned there from.
This was outdoors in Old Trafford in the middle of October. But it
Yeah,
was
it was. This
pretty
may sound
cold.
surprising. It was. They thought it was gonna rain, but it didn't. It was 50 degrees out there. Insane. I would never.
Oh, we slipped there. What's 50 degrees in the proper temperature?
Fahrenheit, I believe.
Well,
I
not
doubt
that.
It was 50.
What's it in C? We know Celsius.
I mean, Ben's given plenty of chances. I know Ben's moving his head from side to side as he comes forward. But Eubank's time and just
It's about 10 degrees, something like that.
with his own leads and getting caught with the counters.
You said proper. You threw me off there. I was like, what? I forget. Yeah, Celsius. I was like, it definitely wasn't 50 degrees Celsius. Yeah, the fight's definitely been heating up past couple rounds. It seems when Eubank is in control, the fight's a little bit better. It seemed the Ben plan was to muck it up, make it nasty, and land hard shots when he can.
Yeah.
And that's just not happening as much. See, this is what Ben wants to do.
Yeah, they don't trust each other close in like that, do they? They're not infighting too good.
Yeah.
They don't trust each other, no shit. Keep hitting each other in the balls.
It's really obvious how poor Eubank is at coming forward. When he misses with one punch, Reg, he's got nothing else to do. He's got to start
Oh,
looking towards the floor and
nice
pulling
shot.
away.
Got him halfway through the round.
Boxing is really very poor. He depends on an opponent
Still
taking
anyone's
off
to
before he
take.
can counter.
And the old scribe's called milling on the retreat in a way, that was.
Boz is funny. He said he's really anxious to see your scores. As am I to see yours, boss. As am
He found an excuse early not to do it.
I.
Oh, I'm late.
Yeah, real ugly round once again. Reminiscence of round one. So right now, I'm giving Ben the edge because he's the one that wants to fight like this.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I think he's
Yeah.
he's doing the better work.
Yeah, it's a matter of Ben owning the inside and Eubank owning the outside. He fights
You see
smart.
Eubank, man. He's standing straight up. He's making a lot of mistakes, but his athleticism, it really does seem like it's if it's not top level, definitely a lot of a difference between him and Ben in that category.
Referee managing to keep out of the picture as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Oh, did he land that right hand? That straight right?
No, that was a slip.
That was a slip. Oh, bit of an advert break.
So round 8 then.
I'm just going to do a pause there. Interesting. Interesting
dark in
score.
there.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's usually a sign that it wasn't filled. I mean, Old Trafford, there's like 70,000 seats there, so they only did 47.
There wouldn't have been that many in 1993. It got extended over the years, but it still would have had probably early 93, maybe 55,000, maybe a bit more.
Okay.
All right, what are we on now? Round 8. So we'll take another pause after this. I think we'll put your two scores side by side and see what's what.
So like I've mentioned, Ben wants to get in close, keep it inside. Eubank's at his best when he's controlling the distance, from the outside. So not that great of classic styles like the first fight, but still very intriguing, I think, because I think this fight is definitely close. We've seen them both have their rounds where it's going along as they want it. And, got some more rounds to go.
That was a good bit of action there for Eubank. I think he caught, I said Conor Benn there, Nigel Benn. And he kind of egged him on a bit as to say, you didn't hurt me.
And if you caught that, you see Ben was coming in, head first. And Eubank caught him with a short little hybrid jab. Those could be setup shots. He's getting that distance, understanding how fast he's coming in, where his head placement is. Those are things to build off of.
Indeed.
See, man, Eubanks is like his head's right there, and he just always moves it. That has to be so frustrating for Nigel.
It's another one on the back of the head.
Man, Eubank is fast.
Yeah, that upper body movement is crazy.
Watching Eubank, I can see the American, boxing education in him. And then he also has, his own unique style, probably from the UK upbringing. So very unique style. I don't think you'll ever see anyone like him.
Yeah, we was quite, I'm not sure if the word's spoiled, but, in the mid-90s, we had both Eubank and Prince Nazim, both with their unique, flashy, showboaty styles. And they were both fighting on terrestrial TVs like this. You can see the logo in the top corner, ITV, which was one of the 4 TV channels back then that everybody had on the TV in the household. So these got absolutely mainstream exposure in the UK.
You see these guys, they're both having their moments.
Yeah, certainly a close fight up to this point. It'll be interesting, knowing what the judges are thinking, but certainly close.
That was weird.
That was when it was.
Yeah,
I,
I think he was just kind of off balance.
yeah,
But it was like he threw an uppercut from like far range.
I think he just
It was-
followed through and fell over himself or something. That's a weird one. Kaiser saying that the scrappy feeling and spoiling kind of ruined this fight, and it has been scrappy. Oh, it's Big Frank.
I don't know about that. Fighters always say weird things, man. Like you think you can go to them for like analysis, and you just hear the strangest things. You know, Frank Bruno I think just got knocked out. So let me stop. I'm not trying to put him down. But that was just weird.
Had he just been beat off Mike Tyson at this point? Possibly, I don't know. That was a tricky one to score, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go to reliable, effective shots.
Well, yeah. Okay, my score's in. All your scores should be in. Let's have a look at some scorecards.
Let's see if we're on the same page.
Make sure I got the screen up. That's the one. Okay, we've got some variants going on here, which is cool. Alex has got 76-75 for Ben. I've got Eubank ahead by one. So has Josh. Me and Josh always know what we're talking about.
Indeed.
And Kaiser's got it a little bit wider for Ben. So let's get up both of your scorecards and see the differences. So you had difference of opinion in the first round. And if you noticed, I've added your names on each round so I can see whose is whose.
Hey man, another nice new feature.
Another nice new feature for you. So Alex is on the left and Josh is on the right, in case you can't really make out those words on the actual stream. So yeah, in the second round you both had the same outcome. Ben winning the third. You both had Ben winning the fourth, and you both had Eubank winning the fifth. You had the exact same scorecard in round 6, and you both added some comments, which is nice. Oh, that was the deducted points. Yeah, that's correct for the low blow. And you both picked that same reason. Very good. I forgot to do that actually. Anyway, you both scored the last two. I thought you both scored the same then since the early rounds. So there you go. Very close. The averages are the winning margins are, they're pretty close, aren't they? There's not been a clear winner throughout the fight. So
certainly a thin line between Ben's aggression and Eubank's ability to work his jab and use movement on the outside. So some of those, I'd imagine, are definitely swing rounds.
Yep. Okay, let's have a quick look what people are saying in the chat. It's going. Let us know what you thought of them scorecards, boss, because you was anxious before.
Since we can't see yours.
Yeah. Bruno Punch drunk. Come on, Alex. You put it in the chat. You didn't want to say it in the mic. Kaiser said, for me, Eubank wins rounds with cleaner shots when they land. For most of the rounds, I feel Ben is throwing and landing more punches overall. I think that's absolutely sums it up. And he also says the fight is so mediocre compared to the first. And it probably was, but at least this was a decision. So that's why we're scoring it. And we will leave that there. Let's continue. Let's move things along. I have to agree there. I am the Alan Babbage of this stream.
Yeah, Eubank, he's definitely a character.
Right now, he's doing the right things and he's making Eubanks miss. I think he's hitting him with some good shots and clear shots
Well,
as well.
that's quite incredible.
And it's
That,
keeping
Jim,
the
but
pressure on, which is
old
very
Frank Bruno
important.
was talking there. Eubank was not in his corner, just standing
Oh,
over
actually, hadn't Lewis and Bruno fought in '93 and not Tyson? That was '95, wasn't it?
Mm. Lewis was going for Ben, I guess, because of their London connection.
Oh, okay.
into the 9th round.
I watched the
Well, I
pre-fights.
think it's now time for Ben to go back to the old Nigel Benn and just really give it what he has now.
Here we go. Eubank working off his feet, man.
To really raise the
Like I
pace
said,
and
it's just
I
I
think
like
this is a key
boxers,
factor
so
in
when
this
they're able to
fight.
move so gracefully, I really just enjoy it so much. I wish he did it more in this fight.
Yeah,
Eubank doesn't like working at a pace.
yeah, I'd agree with you. Definitely, when he's really on his game and using that athleticism of his to kind of work
Man,
from the outside, he's pretty effective.
he's throwing those with bad intentions, but just incorrectly.
That was wild.
Yeah.
Not for long, the armistice was short-lived.
Oh, that's a. Did Eubank just
Whoa, what a left hook
Nice
from
right.
Ben.
just before that? I think Eubank kind of offered his hand to say, you know, sorry
I
about
thought
that, and then he
was
just
too.
punched him instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, never trust Eubank, I tell you that.
Yeah, protect yourself at all times.
Yep. Oh, nice shot again by Ben. That's the thing about Eubank. He stands so tall and straight and relies on that athleticism, he will get caught. But dude, we haven't talked about it. He has an excellent chin.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Ben is not known for his chin.
He's throwing the little clips. They're not good, clean, solid punches, but they're scoring points. That's what came in the front, and Eubank holding again.
This battle here, of course, Ben wins that. He seems to win that all day. So
Well,
Eubank,
not a good performance from Eubank
you know,
so
of
far,
course,
Reg.
he should be working from the outside.
A couple of rounds like this, and
I
he's
know
going
it's
to be
tough though
looking for
once
another
you're
big
actually
fight
in there.
because
You
he's
get
looking
that
for
urge to actually exchange.
I gotta say though, Ben still has energy, which, if you remember from the last fight, seemed like he was a little bit sapped. He's bobbing well. He looks very comfortable, in there. And he was, he was not known for his, stamina, his endurance. He was, knock you out, get out. Let's move on to the next fight.
Yeah, and he was pretty charged up in that first fight, so he didn't come out as tense, I would say, in this one. So I think that's helped him and helped him to pace himself a bit more too.
Quick shout out there to Lady Chan. It's good to have you here. Thanks for coming. Shout out to Lady Chan. You need to go and check out her YouTube channel. She interviews a lot of boxers and current and from the past.
All right, cool.
She's UK based as well, down in London.
Yeah. Good body work from Ben that round. I would, have I mentioned before, like I've mentioned before, Eubank is standing so straight up. I would like to see more like left uppercuts or, straight right hands up top. But I mean, his body work has been, it's been effective. So
Yeah, I will say Ben, he's done a good job of forcing Eubank into his fight a bit more.
A lot of the action has been scrappy. See, he missed with a punch, down he went. And
look at that.
heel behind the heel.
I've never seen Ben move like that from the waist.
But the referee was quite amused by it all.
See, that was the one there. He's like, sorry about that. Shake my hand and bang.
He caught him with a left
Punch you
hook,
in the face.
a little bit. There it goes. Look at that. Like I said, Eubank, what a freaking chin. Because we all know Ben hits like a damn tank.
I think it was later on in Ben's career, like when he was against Steve Collins, and he just took so many shots.
I've never seen Steve Collins, but I seen that, later on in his career. I mean, he had a lot of great victories. I think he beat both these guys twice.
Yeah, he beat them both. But I didn't like that. I remember because I was a fan of Ben and Eubank later in the 90s, and it's like, is this Steve Collins that just beat them both? Bastard.
You know what? Once again, Ben's bobbing and weaving, man. It's making the last 2 rounds a big difference.
Oh.
He's making Eubank miss embarrassingly.
That was huge
yeah.
uppercut there.
And you see now it's resulted in better offense. Eubank knows he has to be more effective with his punch placement. Wow. Wow, big Ben round so far.
Big Ben, I like it. Good pun from London.
Oh, you know, actually, I read that that they would ring the big, right, ring it or whatever, Big Ben whenever Ben would be introduced or during his fights or something like that, with his London connection.
You mean they would actually ring the bell, or it was just
Yes.
like his soundtrack?
Right. Just like Chris Eubank, his big thing was, you know, his name's simply the best. He always played Tina Turner,
Tina Turner, yeah.
when he came in and jump over the top rope. I said, man, what a character. I mean, looking into this fight, the first fight, the second, in between, Eubank really, I'm more of a fan than him than I ever was.
Yep, I'd have to agree. I like his style overall.
But once again, Ben is definitely winning this round.
Yeah,
I'm
he's-
loving the work he's doing. This is his come forward boxing mixed with this, you know, the bobbing and weaving. It's nice to watch as well.
Yeah, when he's like marauding forwards, that's when he's at his best, isn't he?
Dude, making a miss badly.
Oh, nice uppercuts.
Oh, he got top of the head a little bit, but
Yeah,
he's
that's-
bending down.
Couple in the
Yeah.
back of the head as well.
Yeah, and it's noticeable that when they are tied up, Ben, he keeps punching. Eubank usually doesn't touch.
Nice short right hand. Eubank seems to have lost that distance now. He's truly trying to find it with the jab, but great slipping from Ben. Look at that, slipping everything.
Yeah.
Oh, don't lean like that, sir.
Just in front. I think Ben has always just nipped in front there. There's not much in it. That's a bit seesaw.
I've got Ben in front, Reg. Always
Oof, that was a nice shot. Nice right hand by Ben, and look at that, made a miss. Man, nice display from Nigel Benn. This is probably the best I've seen him in any of the highlights or fights I've watched.
Well, at least he's going back to the corner just a few seconds earlier.
I mean, of course, you know, you like the big knockouts, the names he knocked out, but I mean, this is overall boxing ability right there.
He's showing out to Frank Bruno there and answering him too, Eubank. Let's have a look at this in replay, Jim.
See, he's dipped low. He's just looking for the shot. Bang, right on the chin. Look at them. You can see the way his head shoot from that punch, but still, he's looking back towards.
He landed a couple of those in the first couple rounds too.
But that was a scorcher.
Watching a little bit of Roy Jones, huh?
Towel flip, and then there it is. There he's got Ben in front. Barry McGuigan.
Yeah, I feel it's Ben's fight right now from a momentum perspective.
On ITV.
Yeah, definitely. I've given them the last couple of rounds. Just ahead on my card
11th round.
into the last two.
41,000 odd crowd here.
Well, Eubank, I think,
the Old
playing a bit
Trafford.
low one again there. I don't know if it was low, Reg. I was unsighted. I was right behind Ben.
I missed that last score for the rounds there. Kaiser saying a 10-10 for that round. So is that a second 10-10 that he's given
For the last round?
for round 10?
No.
Seems like Eubank feels the urgency. Like Josh has said, I mean, momentum-wise, Ben has really taken over. Championship rounds, this is what champions do.
Yeah, apparently McGuigan gave that last round 10-10. Incredible.
That's interesting. I feel like Ben has been really the aggressor. He's been landing a bit more than Eubank, in my opinion.
Oh, could feel that that collision then.
Both through right hands at the same time.
I think you're slightly behind us, Alex.
I'm sorry?
Or me at least. I think your video is slightly behind what we're seeing. Where you go, oh, and then you go, ah.
Oh, nice right hand.
Just forced the punches out now, Ben. He's obviously feeling the pace. Keep that chin low. Nice little chopping right hand from Ben.
It's a pity that at times there's been a bit more hugging than hitting, really.
Yeah, it's been a nice
Kaiser's made a good point there. This is already Eubank's best round in a while.
but
He's definitely lost the last few, that's for sure.
Nice little hook slipped in there.
Back it comes when he's hurt. He's always the same. That's what makes him so exciting.
Back to holding, spinning each other like a little bit of a dance.
Minute to go.
No, I think Eubank's done slightly better this round, Reg. Ben,
Kind of going in a bit with the head there.
feeling the pace.
I think that Eubank could benefit from trying to slip in more of those uppercuts because I think that that's a good chance of timing Ben in order to, hit him with something essentially he's kind of leaning into or doesn't see.
That's a chancy football type chance here in the stadium.
That's a nice right.
Here we go. He's always scuffling well, Ben, isn't he? That's the thing, Jim. They may not all be hurtful punches, but he keeps on throwing them in.
I think Eubank's nicking this one, Reg.
Oh.
Great hand from Ben, but he's looking very tired.
Very lively running back to the corner then.
That's tough.
He loved it, doesn't he?
The fact that Eubank raised his hand there at the end there,
Cornermen are showing
is he trying to convince us he won the round? Or did he think it was the end of the fight?
all hinge on the last. I doubt it, Jim, but there you go. It's how the American judges see it, and of course Harry Gibbs.
Big round.
Disgusted in myself.
I know what that means. And I'm going to join you because that was a weird round.
Yeah, real close round right there. Real close.
Oh man, this is interesting now. This is very interesting. Final round.
Yeah. Maybe both fighters need this round to win it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ben, a lovely way of hand to start the round, then two more. Ben, what a big round, Reg. We just
Bozzie's going after you, Josh, in the chat. You're gonna have to sort him out on your stream next. Oh wow.
All right. Ooh. Nice.
slipped on the canvas and Ben took full advantage of it.
They both have some urgency here, so maybe both of them know that it's pretty
It's
close.
close, yeah.
Both for champions. It's a unification bout, so this is exactly what you want to see. These are the two best fighters, in the country probably at the time, around this weight.
Blowing hard, Ben, but he's still throwing more than his share of punches.
In a historical stadium, like I said, 500 million people watching. This is no Mayweather Pacquiao
Yeah. Maybe we
in terms
need
of action.
maybe we need Don King back in the mix to really get some of these fights we want to see kicked off.
I don't know about that. No, hey, maybe. He just had a fight, in the gymnasium in Ohio, high school gymnasium, in a small little room down in Miami. Yeah, I don't think he's doing very well.
Yeah.
Fairly exhausted here.
Well, it seems to be drawn decisions.
Man,
all
I
the
love
time
those
these
Ben
days,
body
isn't
shots.
it? Jericho Chavez,
Yeah.
Eubank close.
Looking a bit tired now, isn't he, Eubank? I think he just wants
Yeah.
it to end.
Find a winner here anyway.
I think that physique, he'd never get tired. Nice right hand, though.
Oh man.
It doesn't seem like there's anything on those Eubank shots.
Yeah, and some of them are not really landing either.
Oh no, he's they're shouting at one another. Just
Oh,
look at
no.
the minute left. A little bit of abuse going on in there.
No.
I
No.
couldn't really imagine the trash talk Eubank. He sounds so elegant. So like, I
This-
don't even know how I would, take it. It's like, what? Like, you just sound so nice.
The stream got
The
taken
stream's
down.
got taken down. Damn.
Oh wow.
Happened again in the last round.
I know. They could have given us a few or given us a minute. 1 minute.
I didn't even have a warning. I've not even noticed it if it was there.
Interesting.
Very much so. Well, I was scoring. I was scoring it, and I feel like I have a feeling of who I had up in this round.
Yeah.
I was thinking, don't need to cover that logo. ITV Sport. It's not been that for 30 years. They'll never spot it. But I was flicking between I think we are back. Hopefully we can just do the last, 30 seconds, if that.
Yeah.
And then we're away. We'll listen to the scores.
Eubank battling back. Oh, nice right hand. To the chin.
Eubank's definitely tired. There's no bounce in those legs.
Oh crap! They did it again.
Fuck. I think it could be the sound because it's fairly loud.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe it's the algorithm is able to catch it in some capacity.
Impressive considering it's like, old grainy footage. That's what made me think it was more spotting logos.
Yeah, maybe so because it's on YouTube already.
Yeah, Lady Chan does this same thing where she watches and scores fights, and she said you got to watch it not on your stream. How I do it. Hopefully it'll come back. Yeah, we're back. Okay, we should be back, I think, now. We've got to the end of the fight anyway, so it wasn't too disruptive, hopefully. We'll listen out for the final scores. Obviously, we won't watch the footage. So there was only 10 seconds left, I think, of the fight when it went out for the second time, so... So Kaiser says that Eubank won the last round.
Yeah, I favored Ben in that last round. I thought it was
Yeah.
close, but certainly I thought Ben landed a little bit of the more convincing shot in that last one.
I went with Ben as well. So I gave him the last 4 rounds. Oh no, I didn't. Sorry, I scored round 11 a draw. And I think Alex did as well.
Just so you know, the betting odds were 8-15 for Eubank, 6-4 Ben, and 33-1 draw.
Mm.
Barry Herngo thinks it's a draw. Looks like they're not happy in the ring.
Oh.
Well, while we're waiting for those final scores now, let's have a look at this final stuff, Jim. They were actually cutting at the end of the round there. They've made it up at last, but not here.
And it wasn't a convincing last round, but
This is where the chat was going. They were doing the commentating there, weren't they?
yeah, that was Ireland going on. Another untidy round, but Eubank did a lot of work there.
Yeah, round 12, I felt that Ben had a good start, but Eubank was just more active, making the fight more. Even though his punches had nothing on it,
Okay.
I hit that to Eubank.
Kaiser says that he felt Ben won the fight 7-5 or 8-4, around about that.
Yeah, they did.
I wonder if it is a draw or not. I'm getting the vibes that it may well be.
Never good when it takes its long.
Yeah, it's a long time, isn't it, for this? There you go, Jim Watt is confirming it as well. So, while we've got this screen up, we can see our scores there while we're waiting for the official scores to be read out. There you go, we can listen to this and then we'll have a look at ours.
I could see that if the last round probably was a swing round as well. If I would have, I went with Ben for the last round. If I'd have went Eubank, it would have been a draw.
Yeah, that would have been the same for me.
And that deducted point certainly came into play.
Yeah, definitely. So on our scores, so I can stop that video now. So what have we got then? So Alex, you scored it 113, 115, so that's to Ben in the red. I had the same score as well, 113, 115. Josh, you had it 113, 114. And that's so we had that same score because we had an even round, 10-all, didn't we? Which we shouldn't tell anyone about. And Kaiser's got it 112, 115. But all in favour of Nigel Benn. Oops, scored a draw officially. So let's have a look what our combined scorecard reads. I'd imagine it might be 113, 116 with 2 even. So it was a pretty close fight. Which were the even rounds then? The last 2 rounds were even.
Yeah, it was close.
And then there's quite a few of these earlier rounds which could have been swing rounds, especially 1, 2 maybe. Round 8 was very close. Oh man,
Pretty solid stylistically. So those are always the interesting fights.
Kaiser says it's not a terrible decision, but we all agree Ben was busy in the majority of rounds. He deserved it more than Eubank. Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah.
I feel like Eubank, he let Nigel get a lot of those rounds. I felt like he was the more skillful fighter, but give it to Nigel, man. You could tell. I think someone mentioned earlier, Nigel wanted this fight. It meant a lot to him, and
Yeah.
it showed.
Oh yeah, he definitely went up after him, early doors especially. Yeah, I'm not sure if would that be a controversial decision, because it's a fairly fair result. Maybe we'd side with Ben a little bit, and it would have been, if they'd have given Ben the decision, we probably definitely would have got a third fight, won't we? Yeah. Seems like there should have been a third fight anyway, to be fair.
Well, so like I mentioned earlier, Don King had it. He was going to get the winner and loser. Because it was a draw, both fighters were free to move as they please. So, yeah, I mean, I would assume if they signed with Don King, I forgot where the talks were going to have the next fight at. They were saying it was going to be $6 million for them to distribute between the two fighters. But yeah, it never came. I don't think any of the guys fought Michael Nunn either. So yeah, this being a draw affected a lot of things.
Well, there we go. Good fight. It was scrappy in times, but it was still very interesting, very close, and quite difficult to score quite a few of those rounds.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it was controversial, but certainly close. And I think it could have went either way, really, depending on what rounds you favored or the style you favored as well.
Yeah.
One of the biggest fights in British history, like you said, right? So.
Oh yeah.
Sweet. All right. Good stuff then. We need to figure out some more fights that we're going to score in the next weeks and months. So that's your homework, Vega. Hey. Don't let us down.
Hey, don't worry. I got a list of some, Mike.
Let me
not put it up there too long.
He's got notes. Oh, good. All right. Last word on that can go to Kaiser Cobra in the chat, and he's saying a lot of 12-round Eubank fights ended controversially. He always did enough to make it close. Credit to Eubank and Ben, who were good fighters, but I think none at his best was a different beast. He was outboxing James Toney. So there we go. Right, let's start wrapping things up. We've got quite a few events to cover that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. So let's get to it, and we might as well start obviously next weekend, Saturday the 8th of October. It is the long-awaited third fight, Eubank Ben. 29 years later, it's the Suns. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. It's not at Old Trafford, it's at the O2 in London. I think we briefly touched on this quite a few streams back. It might have been when it was first announced, possibly. Let's go to you, Josh. You just snuck in there. Give us what your predictions and how you think this one will go.
Yeah, when this was first announced, I kind of raised some eyebrows, just given the different divisions the two were in. And I think as it's gotten closer, I'm definitely interested in what will happen. Now, of course, Chris Eubank Jr. is the bigger guy, and Conor Benn, he's shown that he can punch a good deal there at 147. But I would say this is the bigger test for Conor Benn. Eubank Jr. has been in with better opponents thus far in his career, but I think that Conor Benn will certainly give him a test. Do you recall what the weight stipulation is for this fight?
157.
So 157.
Rehydration, I think, is 162.
See, I always think about that aspect of it as well, and how that works for Eubank Jr., who is a bigger guy. He's fought at 168, so him getting down to 157, I think, is going to be interesting. So I think Conor Benn is going to look visibly smaller in there in the ring, but I don't know what stamina-wise, what this does to Chris Eubank Jr. And taking that into account, I think that Ben, if he's able to control the action, and assuming uh, he doesn't get Eubank Jr. out of there at any point early, then I think that second half of the fight could certainly be the story of the fight, and I would likely favor Ben if we're looking at it from the weight stipulation perspective, because I'd imagine he probably is well over 162 typically after he actually weighs in. So those weight stipulations always make it interesting. So I think that everything seems to be a bit more on Connor Ben's side as far as the lead up and everything, and then the stipulations in the contract as far as the weight. So I would say that if it goes the distance, certainly I think that Connor Ben, it'll be interesting for him, and I think he may be able to get the nod. And I'm gonna go with him for this fight, and I think that the weight and the stipulations surrounding hydration is sort of a big factor in why I'm doing so.
Okay. Nice. What do you say, Alex? Give us your thoughts.
So you had made a reference to us talking about it previously. I was very critical of this matchup. I don't see what it does for either fighter career-wise besides money. But I think I've mentioned it also before. The fight gets a little closer. There's a little more marination. We get content. We get shoulder content and all that. And I'm a little hyped. We just watched the
Mm-hmm.
dads. Like I said, I've been researching into both of them. Both the dads are very likable, in their own sense, right? Like you said, 157 catch weight. I don't think Conor Bennon's ever weighed more than 149, 150.
Mm-hmm.
Eubanks has fought as high as 168. Rehydration of 162, I think, is absolutely ridiculous because most welterweights, they say they weigh in the same day, 160, 165. I mean, we've seen this fight's at 157, so we've seen guys that are junior middleweights rehydrate to the 170s. So why are we doing 162 when the catch weight's 157? At least give 10, 12 pounds. Um, I've been doing a little bit of research into Eubank because I'll tell you right now, I am going for Eubank Jr. I've enjoyed his career a little bit more. I think he's taken more risk. Um, Not to say Ben hasn't been built up nicely. He's faced a lot of guys that current or former champions have knocked off. So I think it's a beautiful buildup of Ben. But I like Eubank Jr. a little bit more. I say his U.S. travels haven't been really up to how he. I'm sorry. When he came to the U.S., it was expected for him to face Charlo, Andrade, and such, and it was a little disappointing because he never got those fights when he was fighting Billy Joe beforehand. We've seen him fight George Groves. Those are big names in boxing, especially in the UK scene. So that was a little bit of a letdown, but now we're back at a big fight. Um, when I was looking into Eubank fight at 168, he said he had to eat up to that weight.
Yeah.
So maybe this weight isn't going to be as big of a deal as we think. He's eating cheeseburgers, chicken sandwiches, really feeding into it. Seems very dismissive of Conor Benn, saying he's like a nice little fighter, guy that has a lot of tenacity. But I've been at this level. I'm going Eubank. I'm gonna go decision. I don't think it's gonna be a stoppage, but hopefully it's fireworks, as we've seen with the fathers, how they were able with their style clash to give us two good fights.
Yeah, I think I'm edging on that as well. That Eubank by decision, just being because he is a boxer, isn't he? He's quite slick, and he should have enough about him probably to keep Conor Benn off him at bay. Colby makes a good point in the chat. He's saying that Eubank Jr. in 4. So if he thinks that if he goes for it, he'd be able to get Conor Benn out of there, unless he starts dancing around him like he did against Liam Williams. And that's a good point because he was absolutely hammering Williams, and then he just kind of took the foot off the gas, and then he just coasted through the rest of that fight to get the decision win. I know a lot of people think that Ben has the ability and the power and stuff to cause trouble, but we also need to remember the caliber of opposition that he's been in against, and I think that's what you were touching on there, Alex. he's this has come at a really weird time for his career, because it's almost like he's about to hit that next level up of fringe world title contender status, and then Chris Eubank he's been up at that level and he's kind of finishing, not necessarily finishing up, but he's kind of been there, took a few losses, so it feels like he's more on the downwards curve, and it's timed up a little bit awkwardly, to be fair. So, but yeah, I think that just the fact that they say a good big one beats a good little one, and I think that's kind of what they are. Ben's a bit smaller than Eubank. He's a bit bigger, and he's been in with the better fighters, and he's a bit more seasoned. And I think he'll probably be too good and too slick for Conor Benn. But then, you can't dismiss that he has shown that he's got that explosive power, a bit like his father. So you never know, and I guess that's what makes it an intriguing fight that us as fight fans kind of want to see. And in the UK, it's obviously a huge fight because of the surnames and who the fathers are, as we've just seen. So yeah, I'm going to go with Chris Eubank by decision along with Josh. Yeah, I think it'll be a good fight.
More so Vega. I think that Ben takes it via decision.
Yes.
Oh, you said... Oh, okay, yeah, by decision. Okay.
Yeah. I have Ben with the decision, and primarily because of the weight stipulation. And Eubank Jr. is 34 at this point, so of course, knocking off that weight is probably a little bit tougher. And then not being able to fully rehydrate, that has the potential to drain him, especially if this gets into the later rounds. So that's the main reason I'm going with Ben. Things that seem to be set up in his favor more for this fight.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Also then on the undercard to that there's Felix Cash against Conor Coyle, which is interesting on paper. Felix Cash has got a little bit of hype about him.
Yeah.
Conor Coyle is also undefeated. So Felix Cash is 15-0. Sorry, Conor Coyle is 17-0. He's just got the 7 stoppages. He's from Ireland. Trying to recall if I've seen Conor Coyle. He's fought a few times in the USA, Mexico, USA.
Yeah, looks like he trains out here in Florida on the West Coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not too sure if I've seen any of his fights before. Felix Cash is 15-0 with 10 stoppages, and I think he's kind of pushing to that world title shot. He beat Denzel Bentley, Jason Melbourne,
Bentley's
Jack
about
Cullen.
to fight Johnny Beck.
Yeah, that's right. And Madaev, who is possibly Kazakhstan or something like that.
Yeah, that fight was very close, very competitive.
Okay.
Madaev looked like he might have was going to pull that victory out, but Cash had a nice little. He got knocked down in the 10th round, I remember.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was a very competitive fight, and Cash did not look good.
Yeah. I agree. I kind of harkened back to this fight, and yeah, it was a struggle for Cash, but I will say he showed some grit, and he was able to pull off that decision where it looked early. It looked like he wasn't going to make it through the entire fight. So he showed me some grit in being tested in that manner in this particular fight. I have liked how Cash has looked overall for the probably last 4 or 5 fights that I've seen featuring him, and I think he certainly has that potential for being a world level fighter. It'll be interesting though to see how he continues to progress. I'm not familiar with Conor Coyle, so I can't really speak on him.
Okay, we'll move things along because obviously we've got quite a few to cover still. There's quite a few names on this actually. There's Galali Fire as well, who's Lyndon Arthur down at the bottom there against someone that looks like a bit of a knockover fight. Shannon Courtney is on there.
I think the fight he's looked promising so far. I kind of like his style, so it'll be interesting to see how he continues to progress as well.
Yeah, and Harlem Eubank is always on the undercard of a Chris Eubank fight, I believe. So that is that one. Yeah, Kaiser's made a good point there in the chat. It's got names but no competitions. Which is, yeah, that's absolutely fair enough.
Yeah, main event only.
Main event only. And that's what anyone will be bothered about, to be fair. Okay, same night, over in the United States, Dignity Heath Sports Park, it is Sebastian Fundora against Carlos Ocampo, who I believe has one defeat from
Errol Spence.
Errol Spence Jr. a few years
We didn't
back.
get to see much of him in that fight, actually.
Give us your thoughts on this one then, Josh. I like Sebastian Fundora. I think he's going to win this. That's all I'll say. Quickly.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Fundora. He's always an interesting fighter to see when he's in there because it just looks so awkward seeing such a long fighter fighting at that weight, and it's just like almost an anomaly in a sense. But I do like Fundora, and contrary to his length and size, he really doesn't use it in the manner that one would think. He really thrives off of actually landing a ton of punches. He does a lot of good inside work, and he's a super long fighter. So I think that his output alone, makes it tough for opponents because he does have a pretty high output. I actually did a video of Fundora on my channel several months back, and oftentimes, man, he's throwing a lot of punches, and if you're an opponent of his, then you're going to need to keep up with that output if you're really going to find success with him. Now, in studying his career thus far through that video, there was one fighter who was able to give him a good bit of problems. I think it was Jamonte Clark, if I'm not mistaken. And in that fight, it was a little bit closer, and you could make an argument that Clark won it. And Clark, though, he used a lot of movement, and he was able to time Fundora a good deal and avoid taking a lot of punishment to the degree that some of these other opponents had. So taking that into account, Carlos Ocampo, I I just believe I only saw his fight with Errol Spence, and that wasn't even much of a fight because Spence essentially just kind of dominated him there early. But and he's moved up now, so I'm gonna lean towards Sebastian Fundora because I think that he definitely has a style in just giving his style, his output, and given his size and the way he actually does his work. I think that's going to be a lot and tough for anyone to handle at 154, even the likes of Jamel Charlo, etc., because his output is such a crazy one. And sometimes his percentages aren't high as far as landed, but he definitely outthrows his opponents. And I think from what I gathered, pretty much those recorded on CompuBox, he was only outlanded once, and it just so happened to be or not outlanded, but outthrown through more punches, or the opponent threw more punches, and that happened to be Sergio Garcia, who's a Spaniard who's pretty solid. He's decent, but that aside, I just think that it's going to be tough sledding for anyone when dealing with Ocampo's output, size, stylistically, and I think he has a little bit more pop than what may meet the eye as well. So I'm going Fundora. I think he probably stops him somewhere in the middle to late rounds.
Yep. Go ahead, Alex. Give us your opinions, predictions.
Yeah, Sebastian Fundora. I don't think we've ever seen anything like him. 6'6", 80-inch reach. Doesn't use that length at all in regards to distance, but seems to have mastered how to fight, how to get the leverage in that middle to close range. And he's very difficult. You see fighters, they think they're in the inside, they think they're safe, and I think what most people don't, they just can't train for really because of that size, is trying to pull out, trying to reset. He's not a fighter you can reset. It's obvious. You have to be in his chest, or you have to have great anticipation because he's going to throw and you're not going to see it coming and it's going to land. And he obviously hits hard enough. He's not a one-shot guy, but he obviously. Look at him. What is he? Not what is his record? 19-0, something like that.
Yeah, 19-0,
13 knockouts.
3 stops.
Just beat Lubin, smashed his face in.
Yeah.
Like you said, the Jamonte Clark fight, that was a very close fight. I've never really rewatched it, but I've heard just from other people, it was very competitive.
That was
Jamonte Clark's also very big for the weight as well. I am not a Sebastian Fundora fan. I just don't see a lot of skills. Uh, but what I see is that he maximizes what he has. I mean, he's such an anomaly. I mean, making 154. He said he can make welterweight, and I believe him. He
Yeah.
says, the biggest he'll get is 157. Ocampo, I've actually seen him after the Spence fight. He fought in Canada against a guy named Zuski or something like that,
yeah.
who was competitive with a Mean Machine. And
That was
Ocampo
a
looked good.
that was a big upset, wasn't it? Because that was on home soil for the other guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do I think he's gonna beat Fundora? No, I think it's a perfect style for Fundora. It's a great showcase fight. He has his little sister here. Everything's meant for him, but I don't think Fundora is gonna be like this Hall of Fame guy. This guy that can't be beat. Very difficult. You're gonna have to be probably elite to beat him, but I don't see him as elite at this weight class. I think Jamal Charlo folds him. Yeah, that's all I have to say on the matter.
Okay, that's fair enough. I like Sebastian Fundora. He seems like a nice guy, and he seems to have exciting fights as well.
Yeah,
Even though the style might not be effective for his size or whatever. He also showed in that last fight against Lubin that he could come back from a bit of adversity because he went down in the end. Yeah, round 7. And then obviously he pummeled Lubin's face in.
Great fight.
And it was a good fight.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll go with Fundora as well. And I think, like you say, it might not be the best or a Hall of Famer, but I think he'll give a lot of people a lot of problems. But he will come up against someone that's going to be better than him, that'll beat him eventually. And he's only 24 years old as well, so yeah, so that's an interesting one. There's quite a few fights on this undercard. Is it Angas is still knocking around? That's a name I'm not seeing for a while.
It's a rematch. He actually lost
Okay.
to Martinez. Martinez landed like 400 punches on him. Martinez is a Marcos Maidana managed fighter, and yeah, man. I mean, he
Yeah, from
literally was
Argentina.
beating Cajas to the punch throughout the fight. So yeah, definitely want to see. I mean, who doesn't want to see someone? Both these guys are going to combine for almost 2,000 punches. Hopefully, hopefully the approach doesn't change. So yeah, definitely really good to see that fight on the undercard. Makes it more intriguing, along with the other matchups.
Yeah, Carlos Adames out against Juan Marquez
El Bronco.
Montiel.
Yeah, who fought Jamal Charlo in a interesting fight. It was kind of similar to the Usman versus Antwi. One guy was just seemed to be better, but it was competitive though wide.
Okay, looks like this guy's a bit of a knockout artist as well. All of his wins have come by stoppage. Interesting.
He lost. He got knocked out by Munguia. He went down in weight to welterweight one time and got folded.
All right, Josh, is there anything you want to mention on this undercard before we move on?
Yeah. So yeah, of course I'm in the DC area. So Michael Fox, he's going to be taking on
Mean Machine.
Kavliauskas. Yeah, Mean Machine. Yeah. So Mike Fox, I think he's another one of those guys who he doesn't have much pop. He's super tall for the division in a sense, and he actually moves pretty well and has a pretty solid defense for a long fighter. He actually and he's able to duck in and dodge shots even with his length. So I've seen him fight pretty much a lot of his fights, even some of the local ones here, and I think he does have a pretty solid talent. So it should be very interesting. Of course, Mean Machine has fought the better competition, and of course he's lost to the top level guys. But that being said, um, Fox doesn't have necessarily power, so it'll be interesting to see if he's able to outpoint Mean Machine. But I think he has the potential of doing so because he's very well on the outside, and he uses his jab properly. He uses his size very well, so I think that's the potential for sort of an upset, I guess you could say, if you look at who Mean Machine has been in with. But a couple of those Fox losses were very controversial, in my opinion. They were super close. and especially one of the latter ones where he was essentially screwed out of a title. But we'll see.
Rob naked, one of the worst decisions you'll ever see in boxing.
Yes, yes, indeed. And the WBA, they seem to really be on some shady business in that fight. And in the aftermath, they had to release a bunch of statements and all of that stuff, trying to clear the air. But it was certainly a robbery.
Fox definitely has some skills.
Yep, Kaiser says that seen some high praise about Fox, so definitely want to keep an eye out for. Okay, let's move things along then, because we've still got a couple of cards to cover. We won't go over the Shields, Marshall, Mayer-Baumgadner double header, because we discussed that when it was scheduled last time, but that is one to mention that's coming up on the 15th of October. That's still in London. That was cancelled due to the Queen's death. But on that same weekend, over at Barclays Centre, it is Wilder versus Helenius. Always good for heavyweight boxing to be on. Alex, give us your thoughts on how this one will go. How will Wilder look? Does Helenius give him problems? And, what's in store after this fight?
Will he look good? How will he look? That's the biggest question. I mean, that trilogy with Fury, I mean, it had to take a lot out of him. Something at least, right? But Deontay still has Molinier right here, cocked and loaded, ready to go at any time. And to this day, I've said it once, I'll say it again. It knocks down anybody, out anyone, including Joseph Joyce, if that's even his real first name, his first name. Anybody's going to sleep. I don't care. So I expect Robert Helenius to take a beautiful nap. Will they bring the stool out quickly? I don't know. Former sparring partners, so they know each other. I've heard a lot of funny things. Malik Scott said that Robert Helenius isn't a very good sparrer. So, okay, you beat the shit out of him. Cool. So maybe it's going to be a bit timid out there the first few rounds. But yeah, Robert Helenius is going to be dreaming he's a Viking. I don't know. When were the Vikings popular? 1500s? I don't know. Maybe, maybe they have to wear a helmet afterwards. No, in all seriousness, I expect Wilder to get this KO victory. I'll say within 6 rounds. Let's just go round 6. And but I will say I've been saying on this specific channel, AJ versus Wilder. I'm so sorry. I'm changing it. I want Joe Joyce versus Wilder.
Yeah.
Sad. I have to say I got to see that chin. I got to see that chin against Wilder's right hand. Definitely. Please, let's get it. And hello, little guest. I see you got someone over there with you, Jim.
Yeah, she's been scratching at my leg for the last 10 minutes.
She had to hear the Wilder take.
Yeah. Well, she was backing about it the other week, so there you go. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, I agree with Vega here. I think that Helenius is going to be stopped at some point. Helenius found a new leash on his boxing life through those fights with what's the guy's name? The Polish fighter. Konowski, yes, thanks. So yeah, he found a little bit of a new leash on life when he got those 2 wins, and stylistically, he was just a problem for Konowski. But I do think that Wilder's punch is one that Helenius probably won't be able to take for the entirety of the fight. So I think that Wilder stops him at some point. It may not even go too many rounds in all actuality, because Helenius can be hit, and Wilder does a good job of hitting when he's really focused. Well, I guess he's generally been focused. His fight with Fury, but that was a superior opponent. But when Wilder's on his game and he's landing that right hand, I think that he can definitely be a problem. So yeah, Helenius doesn't leave this fight standing.
Yeah, I think I'd go with that as well. It's hard to see how Wilder doesn't win. I mean, like I say, Helenius got a new lease of life out of the last couple of wins he's got, but I mean, it's easy to forget how bad he'd looked before that. But yeah, Kaiser in the chat again makes a good point, saying that it's a fight is a measuring stick to see how much of Wilder there is left, and I go along with that. I'd expect him to win. I'd expect him to get the stoppage, and I'm still all in for Wilder versus Joshua. That would be still a huge fight for me, and really intriguing.
Oh yeah.
Quite an interesting undercard on this one. I noticed before when I was putting this together. We got Caleb Plant against Anthony Durrell. That's not a bad matchup. What do you reckon to that one, Alex?
Yeah, Anthony Durrell probably still is like a top 8-ish, maybe closing in top 5 still at that weight class. He had that fight with David Benavidez where it seemed that he was being competitive. However, once he got cut, it was over. It was a bloody mess, and we all seen what David Benavidez does once he smells blood. Caleb Plant's coming off of his loss to Canelo. I don't think the scorecards really uh, were a reflection of the fight. I think he did a lot of good things, but was worn down. And so Durrell's a great matchup. Durrell has skills. Former I believe, 2-time world champion. I remember he beat Saki Obika in a rematch because they drew the first time, and then he had the vacant belt technical decision win over Yildirim, which I guess Yildirim's a household name when you look at his resume. Anyways, but I just think Caleb Plant's probably just too fresh, too quick.
Yeah.
For Durrell, I could see him. I believe he's going to pull out unanimous decision, but is going to have some scary moments in the back half of the fight.
Okay. What say you, Josh?
Yeah, I like Anthony Durrell. I like Caleb Plant as well, and I agree with Vega as far as I thought Caleb Plant did pretty good with Canelo in their matchup and had some pretty good rounds that were clear for him. And Anthony Durrell, I mean, he keeps on ticking, keeps finding a way to get back in that mix, regardless. But I think it'll be telling because while I do like Durrell, I feel like he's when you think about it, you have those elite fighters. I think he's just a slight notch below the elite fighters. And if Caleb Plant is as hyped and is as what we had seen in their skills and all of that stuff, I think he should be able to pull off a decision as well. But Anthony Durrell's going to be there, I feel, the entire time, just given the styles and such. Benavidez was a different type of fighter, but Caleb Plant probably isn't going to press in a similar fashion. So I think that Plant could certainly win a decision over Durrell.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I think I'll go along with that. I think it'll be a decision. I think Plant will win. It's a decent contest for a bounce back fight, I'd say. So fair play to him for that, rather than just going with an easy, no hoper. So fair play. Also, then we have Gary Antonio Russell, and Emmanuel Rodriguez, which looks to be a rematch because of a accidental headbutt from the previous
Rodriguez
fight.
didn't want none. That didn't even look that bad.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll just say, yeah. So this is another DC area fighter out of Maryland here. So I've seen a number of his fights, and he's definitely talented. And I think he was tested in one Carlos Payano fight, and he's shown that he can withstand some stuff. And he has a pretty solid output as well. And he's very skilled, much like the other Russell brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I do recall that headbutt in the other fight, so we didn't really get to see anything. Manny Rodriguez, he's lost to, of course, in a way, that elite level loss, of course, and someone else defeated him. I don't recall, but
Gaballo, Raymat Gaballo.
Okay, yeah. So I think that Russell has enough to be able to get the victory over him, and I think it'll be interesting. I know Russell's going to come in prepared, trained. They're always training, all that stuff. So I think that this stage will be fitting for Gary Antonio Russell. So I like him for winning a decision over Rodriguez for sure.
Okay. Would you go along with that, Alex?
Yeah, and Gary Antonio's, we see Antoine, he's more of the power puncher. Gary Russell, master of distance, and when his speed is unmatchable. And Antonio's just more pure boxer. I wouldn't put him as highly as I do as the other two brothers. He had that really tough fight with Santiago. A lot of people felt that Santiago probably deserved the victory. But Emmanuel Rodriguez, they get another chance to see exactly where Gary Antonio is. Was that last fight just an anomaly, or is he really one of the top fighters at what is this bantamweight?
Yeah,
Or
bantam.
bantamweight. So yeah, so we'll see how this fight is. I mean, it's a big card, big stage. So yeah, I'll tune in and see what Antonio has to offer. Gary Antonio, I'm sorry. They like to be first and middle name. Spoken.
All right. Lastly, then on this card, Frank Sanchez in against Carlos Negron. Frank Sanchez, the Cuban guy, undefeated, beat Christian Hamer and he beat F.A. Jagba. That's right. That was Jagba's first loss. He was a bit of a highly touted prospect. I don't know if he was at that point. I guess he's destined to win this one as well as he Sanchez. So what do you think of him, Alex?
Yeah, Frank Sanchez, the Cuban Flash. Saw him in person on that Frank Martin, Luis Ortiz card. He was known for training with Canelo, sparring with Canelo. Turns out he actually was a Ryan Garcia guy. Ryan Garcia's dad is the one that hooked him up with Canelo. So he has left Canelo's gym and is now training with Joe Goosen out there in California. I mean, probably the best pure boxer in heavyweight right now, I would say. He's going to be very difficult to beat for anybody because of his boxing skills.
Yeah.
This is actually, I'm sorry, this was actually supposed to be on that card, but Christian Hammer came in because Negron had got COVID the week of. And they probably have sparred before. Negron, they're both Miami home base. Like I said, Frank Martin does train out in Cali, but if whenever you're out of camp, you may just go to a home base gym in your area. I know Luis Ortiz has sparred Negron a lot. Negron's a former Puerto Rican Olympian, I believe.
Yeah.
But don't think much resistance. It's probably going to be a 10-0 shutout. Hopefully, we don't fall asleep because Sanchez for all the skill he has, he's not a very exciting, very appealing style. But definitely someone to watch. May take him a couple of years to get to the championship, but going to keep a lookout.
Yep. Anything you want to add to that there, Josh? Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with Vega for the most part. I think, given the trajectories, this is kind of a stay busy fight for Sanchez as he tries to lure in some of the bigger name opponents, and hopefully we get to see him with some of the bigger name opponents here very soon. But I like him in this fight, and I think it will be convincing.
Yep, cool. I like that card actually. It's just 4 fights, but you can go with the BoxRec stars and at least the decent, fairly competitive fights, and not just 10 names versus nobodies, which you get a lot over here, especially in the UK.
We feel we get that here as well. So I mean, yeah, it's nice to get one of these cards.
Okay, and then what else have we got? The following day, over in Australia, is the Haney versus Kambosos rematch, which I totally forgot about, and I'm not even all that interested in. But we might as well touch upon it because it's quite a big fight, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. I think Alex is already asleep.
Yeah, so boring. Such an unnecessary rematch.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's contract-wise, but will I watch it? Most likely, somehow, some way. Not very exciting.
So what we're saying, another Haney 120, 108 decision? That's my...
Yeah, no, I'll give Kambosos round 1 and round 12. So.
Okay. Yeah, unanimous decision for Haney. Like you say, pointless rematch. I don't think they should be allowed to have rematch clauses unless it's fairly close or there's some controversy involved. That's just my take, but
Yeah, how do you word that in a contract, though?
Yeah, that would be tough.
Kambosos can be like, "Oh, my arm hurt," or like, it was I didn't see my wife. You know, it's always something. There's always a reason. He said, what did Kambosos say in the build up? He wasn't hungry. He wasn't the underdog. He didn't feel like it.
Mm.
So now he has that hunger again. Now he's back in the corner, as he was saying in his accent.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm in agreement here. I think that Haney pretty much is the wrong type of style for Kambosos. I actually, I actually thought that Kambosos lost to Lee Selby, and I actually had a slight edge towards Teofimo Lopez, if I'm not mistaken, in that fight, which I thought was close, but I definitely think, yeah, that was the case with Lee Selby as well. So Kambosos, it'll be interesting to see if he comes out aggressive or a bit more aggressive, but I don't know if he has the skill set to figure Haney out in a way that allows him to get up on the cars or anything of that nature. So his best bet is probably going to be gunning for a knockout of some type, which is I think it's going to be tough as well because Haney has pretty solid defense. Even though he's been caught at times, he's shown that he can take a pretty decent punch. But yeah, I think just the level of skill is going to be a problem for Kambosos again. But I think that even if he loses this, he'll make for some potentially interesting matchups in the future with some other guys, but definitely not guys that are of Haney's ilk, I would say.
Yeah. And then, just briefly, then before we finish up, then on Devin Haney, what's next? Someone take the lead. Go on, Alex.
Lomachenko has to be it. Lomachenko is going to be fighting Jermaine Ortiz in a couple weeks. Actually, that is gonna. We're looking to do a Lomachenko rewatch with Salido for our next broadcast, unless someone has a better suggestion. But it is a controversial fight. A lot of controversial things happened inside the ring. But it was a close fight. So, yeah, it has to be Lomachenko. If not, if Lomachenko were to lose, I could see him fighting Jermaine Ortiz. Ortiz had that big win over Herring in a close fight. And of course, the one big name, Shakur Stevenson, which I would like to see. But if I'm a Devin Haney fan, I'm saying please no, we don't want that smoke because I just don't see Devin beating Shakur. They're very similar. Devin's a little more cat-like, probably quicker feet, but Shakur's management of distance and ring IQ is just it's a different level. Devin Haney controls the outside. Shakur can control you in, out, in between. So,
Okay.
yeah, we'll see what happens next, but definitely Lomachenko, I think, is a target.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Josh? Is there anything in particular you want to see Haney do? Anyone you wanted to take on?
No, yeah. I share the same sentiments as Vega there. Um, yeah, I think it would be interesting, when Haney or how he continues to operate after this fight. He seems to be making the weight well and seems to be the top guy right now in the division. At least he has all the belts. So I think certainly I would like to see him matched up with some of those other big names there. But I'm definitely looking forward overall to this women's card here with Mayer, Baumgartner, and Clarissa Shields, Savannah Marshall. As far as the upcoming fights, I think that one has some excitement surrounding it. Both sides, as far as the main and co-main event, don't like each other. As far as the opponents, there seems to be real dislike there, so that should make for an interesting, intense matchup. So I'm looking forward to those probably the most at the moment.
Okay. And then, with that said, then just touching on that women's card, are any of your predictions changing than what we said the previous time? Or are you sticking with what you had then?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good. They're both are good matchups. I favor Clarissa Shields in the fight with Savannah Marshall, but I think she's definitely going to have to be on her game. And she's shown to have pretty solid power. She's
Yeah.
gotten opponents out, and that's been a thing that Clarissa Shields hasn't been able to really do. She only has 2 stoppages, but I think that, of course, the mental aspect of it, I think that Clarissa Shields would have that edge, and that probably would get her the victory. And I think the Baumgartner Michaela Mayer matchup is pretty much a even matchup as well. So, but Mayer's length, I think, is going to be something to certainly pay attention to. I think if she can put it all together, I think she can pull out a victory there if she doesn't get into a firefight, because Baumgartner can punch a little bit. She showed that with her stopping Terry Parker, but I would probably lean towards Mayer in that fight as well for a decision victory.
All right, cool. Alex, did you want to quickly go over your predictions for that one again?
Yeah, remains the same. I think Clarissa's going to wipe the floor with Savannah Marshall. We're probably going to hear from Savannah Marshall again because it's going to be very embarrassing. This 10-0, 9-1, wipeout.
Okay.
I don't rate Savannah Marshall high at all. Yeah, she can punch. That's cool. But at the end of the day, we've seen it over and over again. Boxing skills, man. You get all the big hype with the knockouts. It's really cool. But when a great puncher faces a great boxer wins most of the time, and we're gonna see exactly. I mean, look at Kambosos wasn't seen as a puncher, but came off the Teofimo knockdowns, a knockdown, and stuff like that. And you see Devin Haney just embarrassed him. Savannah Marshall, too brooding, too slow. Clarissa Shields, the greatest woman boxer I've ever seen in my life. Katie Taylor's a close number 2. Yeah, and then with the co-feature, not pretty casual women's boxing. I'll go with Baumgartner once again because I think she's cuter. And that's the problem with women's boxing, is that they kind of sell it more on the looks.
Yeah.
And I think that's a disservice to them. I think I've heard a lot of great things about Michaela Mayer. Clarissa Shields said a lot of good things. I've seen Baumgartner knock out Terry Harper live. Didn't look so great when she was the co-feature on the Conor Benn fight against was it Chris Van Heerden, I believe. And great fight to watch. I'm going to be tuning in. It's going to be midday here, so great time to watch it. Would have been great if they got on the original date, but things happen. Can't control that. Now it's a big day of boxing. And great to have that all day of boxing. Clarissa Shields wipeout.
Cool. I'm going to stick with what I said as well in my prediction for that one. So I had Shields by decision. I don't think it'll be quite as wide as you think, Vega. And also go with Baumgartner as well to beat Mayer. I think she just might have too much about her. We'll go with that. So I think that brings us to the end. We've discussed the events of the next couple of weeks. As Alex just mentioned, our next live stream will be Lomachenko versus Salido, which I believe was Lomachenko's second fight, was it, as a professional?
Correct. Going for history.
Mm-hmm. So, that's definitely our next fight. And then Alex will be looking into what we're going to be covering after that in the future. And we will let you know, hopefully, a schedule at that point, maybe. All right, so if you're still with us, thank you very much for joining us. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And please come along in future if you've enjoyed this show. We're going to have many more interesting and exciting fights to cover. Thank you both, Alex and Josh, for joining me as always. I know that, Josh, you'll be going out to do your podcast next, is that right?
That is correct. Catch us there.
So head on over to 86 Boxing. He and Boz will be covering the events of recent weeks and in future, I believe. Yep. And then we hope to see you back here in the future, in the not too distant future. So thank you all very much. Peace out.
Yeah, let's go Mets.
Have a good one.